we'll start with the basics. What is your full name?
Emma Lou Romans Walls.
Okay. And when and where were you born?
I was born January the 19th, 1932, and I was born at home, out in the country, about 4 miles out of Cumbie, Texas.
Cumbie, okay. I know where that is. Actually.
You do?
I do. I do. Any nicknames or aliases?
Well, for a while, some of the kids was calling me Lulu.
No.
But
Okay. All right. Brothers or sisters?
I have one brother and one sister that I remember. I have 4 brothers who were either stillborn or just died immediately afterwards. And I had one sister, and she's now deceased. She was 2 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna be like the Romans family. They live forever.
They live forever. The Romans family, is that, whose family is that? Is that your mom's or dad's family?
Dad's.
Your dad's family.
My dad, like 20 days, been 100 when he passed away.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah. And it looks like I'm gonna follow him.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So tell me about, that's a good segue into, tell me about your parents a little bit, where they met or who they were and.
Okay, my parents married very young. They went away to get married. They finally got married when Mother was 14 and Daddy was 17.
Okay.
But they went away to get married, and Daddy went out of money. So he called my grandfather collect, and he sent 2 of the boys after him. So they come home and got married.
So they tried to go away and get married, and then they had to come back.
And
Okay.
they run out of money.
That,
They didn't have any money.
that happens, doesn't it?
Well, they didn't have much money back in those days.
Yeah, it's a different time, wasn't it?
That was before you was born.
Okay. So they were young. How long before they started having kids? Like,
I was the first one, and I think they'd been married 3 years before I was born.
Okay.
And then I had a sister 2 years later, and then 10 years later, and some died in between, but I never did know them.
Yeah.
Richard Delane, and I've forgotten what the other child's name was, but they were actually stillborn, you know. So I never knew them.
Okay.
But my sister's was 2 years younger than me, and she's already gone, and her husband's gone.
And what was her name?
Alpha Jean.
Alpha Jean. I like it.
Altha Jean. And she and her husband both are deceased, but they have one daughter that's alive, and she is head of Neiman's Credit Union.
Really? And what is her name?
Glenda, let's see, was that Glenda Kay?
Sorry.
Oh, shoot.
That's okay.
There was Juanita and Glenda Kay. Glenda Kay was the youngest, and Juanita, Debbie.
Okay. All right. So you were married. You were. We'll get to that. Well, you were born outside Cumbie. So have you been in Texas your whole life? Whole life. Okay. Have you lived in different parts of Texas, or pretty much the same?
Well, I lived just over into Hunt County,
Okay.
but I went to school in Hopkins County always. And then I went to East Texas State Teachers College, which is A&M now in Commerce.
Yeah.
And then my boyfriend then asked me to marry him, and I told him I'm not marrying a farmer. I picked all the cotton I'm going to pick, and I'm not doing that anymore. So if you want to marry me, you have to go to Dallas, get a job. Well, I had, my mother's brother was just about Thurman's age. Thurman was 5 years older than me, and so Uncle Malcolm said, well, he can live with me until he gets a job and all that. Well, he went to work for Ford Motor, and you know they lay off every year when the new models, you know. So he worked there. We got laid off, so he worked at J.C. Penney's on Saturdays until he could find a permanent job. And I was already working at the bank. I worked at A. Harris, which is now Sanger's, for 1 year, and then I went to Mercantile Bank, which is now Bank One.
Yeah.
And I was there way after retirement. I did investments for clients,
Oh, wow.
but I started out in the tellers division, and they put me down in the money vault, and you learn to count money. 50 pennies in a roll, $2 nickels, $5 dimes, $10 quarters, and $20 in halves, and your silver dollars you had to lose because you didn't have very many calls for those. And they put me in collection department for a short while, and they said, Mr. Bryson, who was over personnel, he said, I don't think this is the right place for you. So I just went from there, and I ended up in investments, and I was the top investor. I mean, I had more clients and made more money for the bank than anybody else. Just lucky. Just lucky.
I wasn't going to call you out, but investments is, yeah. No, that's really cool. I mean, that's.
I loved it. I loved it. Number one, I like people, and you have to like people to work with the public. If you don't,
That's true.
you can't handle it.
Right, that is true. I was going to ask you what your favorite part of that job was, but it sounds like
People.
people.
I'm
Yeah.
a people person.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can tell. I can tell. Let's see. I was going to ask what your favorite job was, or your first job, but it sounds like that was your only job, was working at the bank. So you were there, how many years, do you know?
50 plus.
Whew.
But I worked the first year for A. Harris.
Okay.
It was a department store.
Oh, that's what you said.
I was in a dressograph department where we made those plates. You know, it had N for Neiman's and S for Sanger's and all that on it.
Yeah.
And so when you went to charge something, you just handed them that plate.
That's cool.
And then I went to the bank.
Very nice. So, I just kind of have a list of questions about favorites. So, have you? Is there a certain car you've owned that was your favorite?
My Cadillac.
Cadillac. Good choice. Favorite job, working with people. Favorite food?
Sweets.
Sweet tooth.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
If you come to my room, you'd see. You wouldn't ask that question.
Well, don't tempt me. I got a sweet tooth myself. Favorite movie?
Gone with the Wind.
It's a good one. Favorite book?
Bible.
Favorite drink?
Water.
That's a good one. Can't live without it. Okay. And favorite flower, if you have one?
Now that's hard. I love flowers.
Oh, you do? Okay. You don't have to choose. It's fine.
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. So before we get too far away from your childhood, what was your favorite childhood memory? Or if there you have a top 2 or 3, you can tell all those. But
My childhood favorites?
yeah, your favorite childhood memory. You already talked about picking cotton. I don't think that was it.
No. Sports.
Sports? Really?
Basketball. See, I didn't even have to jump. You didn't need to interview me, did you? You could answer all these questions for me.
Oh, no. Okay, playing sports was fun. Huh? Is there maybe a least favorite childhood memory or something that stands out where
living out in the mud.
Okay.
We had a clay hill,
Mm.
and we didn't have paved roads. So, yes, I had to push out when we went to town.
I got you. All right. Any events that changed your life? Depending upon your era, could be a war, or, 9/11, or any of those kind of events that just really changed your perspective, and changed your.
When my husband passed away, I guess would be the
And what year was that? Did you
I
remember?
can't remember.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's been about 8 or 10 years.
Okay. Okay.
Because I've lived here going on 5 years.
Okay.
And when he was sick, I lived in apartments here in Rockwall because my daughter lived out here.
Okay. I was going to ask you how you got to Rockwall, but that sounds like
Yeah.
your daughter lives here. And then I was going to ask you, my next question was, you have any children? And
One daughter,
one daughter. What's her name? What's her name?
Lynn.
Lynn.
Yeah,
I
Lynn
see.
Ann. Ann is because my grandmother was Georgia Ann. So I put the Ann on there.
I like that. We use family names for our kids too. And she have any grandkids?
She won.
Does she have any kids? Do you have any grandkids?
She has 2 boys, and the oldest boy and his wife have 2 little girls,
Okay.
and her other son, who is the youngest one, but he's tall like my husband was, and I'm not sure if he's married, but
Okay.
he's living with a woman anyway,
Okay.
and they bought a house, so that's the way they do nowadays.
That's-
Not back in my days.
Things are different, huh?
Yeah.
What would you say? So let's talk about that a little bit, because that's kind of my next few questions are about kind of things that have changed. So I'm assuming I don't want to assume anything.
Go ahead, soon.
So what's been your favorite technological advance or invention? I know.
Oh, TV.
TV, oh, there you go.
Electricity.
Yeah.
We didn't have electricity until after World War II was over because you couldn't get the wire.
Mm,
But that was the first thing that we got after the war was over. We got electricity. Oh, that was so nice.
changes things, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, we had a Aladdin lamp. We finally got one of those. We picked cotton to get the money.
Yeah.
My mother was, she was not educated at all, but she was smart. She was just smart. And she taught us, and she taught us to work. She told us how much cotton to pick. If we didn't have half of it by noon, we had to pour it on. Yeah, she was good to us, but she taught us very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved what I was doing.
Yeah.
I love helping people. And seeing in investments, they'd come in there and they didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
They just knew they had all this money. And they had inherited it, mainly, And so I would show them everything, but then I would tell them what I thought. And I would keep them in a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd have something maturing every year.
Right.
And if rates went up, well, we went long. If they were not good, we stayed short. So when they went up, then we could extend.
Yeah.
I loved I love people.
Yeah. Yeah. Financials are fun too. The numbers are fun too, especially when the rate goes up, right? They're a whole lot more fun that way, aren't they?
They sure are.
That's awesome. I want to make sure I don't miss any of my Any of my question. So where do you? What's your take on today in America? I know we already talked a little bit about things have changed, obviously, besides electricity and hard work. What? What are your thoughts on America today? I'll just leave it like that.
Well, I think we're in kind of a mess, really. You agree with that?
I think we're yes we are.
And I don't know if Mr. Trump's right or not. I voted for him because I thought he was hard-headed and it'd take somebody hard-headed to handle that job.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty scary right now.
Do you have any advice for the kids out there?
Work hard, study hard. I think that's the key to success, is not expecting somebody to hand you everything.
Mm.
And I think that's what we learned, is to work hard and make the most of what you have. Don't just go out and waste it.
Mm.
But I think the kids today have had everything handed to them. Well, see, we had to work for it. And that's a whole lot different.
It absolutely is.
You're young. I'm old.
Thank you for that.
I'll be 88 in January.
You look great for 88.
Nobody can believe I'm that old, but I am.
Yeah. You were, well, like I said, you were raised to work hard and enjoyed what you were doing. That goes a long way, doesn't
Oh
it?
my, I say so. Oh yes, I loved what I was doing. I love helping people. I still help people.
Yeah.
They don't really want me to here, but
Right.
I
That's a
do
hard
it.
trait to get rid of, though.
It
When
is.
you like helping people, you just. So I'm going to ask you a question. Let me make sure I don't miss it. Oh yeah, do you have any advice for parents out there? For those that are raising these kids.
Well, they have to discipline them. Kids have to learn to do what they're told by their parents, not by the other kids. That's what I would say.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Kind of last question I have written down is to ask about your faith or spiritual journey. If you want to talk anything about that.
Oh, I love the Lord.
Yeah.
And He loves me. He has to. He couldn't put up with me otherwise. No, my husband was a deacon and I was a Sunday school teacher from age 19 on.
Oh, okay.
Until I came out here. I fell, it's the reason I moved out here, and hurt my leg. I couldn't walk for a while.
Mm.
But now I'm getting around like all the young folks.
Yeah, I caught you running down the hallway here. That's...
Running. Well, I've always walked fast. I've got long legs. That's the reason I could play basketball. I could jump.
That does help. That's fine. Yeah, anything else you want to share with anybody who might be watching this interview? Any stories or advice or anything like that?
I don't know. You can ask any question you want to. If I don't know the answer, I'll make up one. No, I won't.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't necessarily have any more questions. But I really have enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate your time. And
And I appreciate the flowers. They're pretty.
Oh, well, of course. I just want to make sure you were thanked for your time and your effort.
You didn't need to, but I took them. You noticed.
Yeah, you didn't hesitate very long, but I wouldn't expect you to. All right. Well, thank you for interviewing with me. I'm gonna wrap it up, and we'll talk a little bit more.